I mean, it shows how difficult the decisions are in these circumstances. But I think that it also shows that when we say that we have been firm, it is true that we have been firm, because we haven't conceded anything. We have engaged in negotiations where I've made a certain number of offers, which are of course conditional on getting, a two-way street from the US. We haven't changed our legislation. We have not proposed to change our legislation. We have not changed our tariffs. And I think that this is very important. Now, on agri-food, yes. I mean, we are talking also about agri-food. Of course, the Americans are very interested in certain agri-food sectors. Of course, we're not talking about hormone-treated beef or other things, but we are indeed discussing the certain agri-food sectors. You know that on spirits we have already a 0 for 0 deal with the US. So, for example, there it would be interesting to keep it. On wine, there are many possibilities to actually reduce the tariffs and make everybody happy. So these are the sort of conversations that we're having. So in various sectors, we are looking at either preserving a situation which was mutually advantageous before the increase in the duties, or we're looking at finding solutions that would actually make sense for the industry on both sides of the Atlantic. Madame Vedren, I hear you. However, if I may, I would like to take a little bit of an issue with what you define as the Commission position as being attentiste in good English. What we're really trying, granted, I agree that the number of meetings is not in itself something that really indicates whether we are, doing the job, but fundamentally, it is through this continuous engagement that we are looking at defending the EU interest. And that is far from just sitting down and waiting for events to unfold. Mr. Winkler, when you seek to change the name of the clause, I cannot help but thinking about a movie by the Marx Brothers entitled A Night at the Opera, when they negotiate a contract with a sanity clause. And I would invite you to look at this movie once again. It will lighten up our mood, I think. But now the serious thing, I understand the questions from the European Parliament, which is, Commission, are you going to respect the legal system in the EU concerning, for example, the conclusion of international agreements? And the answer is, of course, yes. But the thing is that we're not there yet. We're first negotiating the animal, and then when we have the animal and we know where we're going, then of course we will fully respect all the obligations. Yes, what is the baseline for the Commission communication strategy? The baseline is, again, that when you look at the whole situation, and I think this echoes, for example, the draft report from the AFET committee that I've seen and the proposed amendments from this committee. And the fundamental goal is to continue to engage. This is the biggest partner that we have, by the way, on both sides. So the net interest cannot be to start destroying the relationship. The net interest must be to continue building this relationship. And this you do through an engagement, through negotiation, through listening to what the other is telling you, and by making sure that the other is also listening to what you're saying. Commissioner Šefčovič is involved with essentially Mr. Lotnik, who is the Commerce Secretary, and Mr. Greer, who is the USTR, and they both confirm all the time that the President is very well aware of what is being negotiated and is following this very, very closely. So so this is a situation. I can confirm that we're looking also at other sectors, not just cars and steel. For example, indeed, we really, really would like to avoid a situation where the U.S. administration imposes Section 232 measures on things like pharmaceutical, but also a certain number of other materials, engines and jet engines and so on and so forth. So all this is being discussed. Now, on car tariffs, Mr. Chairman, I'm afraid I cannot give you the detail of what is being discussed, but I can confirm that there are many options that are being discussed. We have not been helped very much by some individual car manufacturers who have tried to find some kind of a side agreement. But again, I think that we have been able to maintain the unity of the EU by focusing on what we thought was the right thing. And the question of, in general, I mean, your question of bilateral MFN boils down to, are you going to have something that is compliant with the WTO obligations of the EU? And the answer is yes. We are looking at something that is compliant with the obligations of the EU in the WTO. I mean, the position of individual workers, we think about this every day, all the time, of course. I mean, the reason why we're doing this is because we want to find a solution that allows the EU to continue being and to improve its manufacturing basis, to avoid a massive delocalization of activities to the US, and to make sure that we can continue exporting the wonderful products that we produce in the EU to the US and to other markets. So this is a constant thought. We're not doing this for some kind of an ideal, an abstract reason. We're doing this because we're acutely aware of the economic interest of the EU citizens. China is in a very difficult situation. You know, when the US tell us, you have to follow us 100% on what we do on China, we always say, well, you know, we have a certain number of common interests, but we also have a very different trading and economic relationship with China than you do. So I don't think, well, first of all, I don't think as a matter of principle that the European Union should follow examples. I think that the European Union should set its own examples. But also the situation is totally different. What we have observed, however, is that the escalation of tariffs between the EU and China resulted in extremely damaging outcomes for both. So it confirms what we have been saying from the beginning, that tariffs are bad. And secondly, again, we have to bear in mind that the situation with China and the US is very different, and that, for example, one of the goals that the US administration had was to try to find a solution to the export licenses that China keeps, for example, on rare earths and so on. And, you know, we don't have all the information, but it seems to us that there could be still a lot of work there before an improved situation is found.
Thanks a lot, Leopoldo. We have still 5 minutes. One question. This morning, this Trade Minister Council happened. And due to my information, this second list was presented with the volume, as you mentioned, from 72 billion. So are there any news from the Trade Minister Council? Is now the list in the comitology, and will be the list ready for the 6th of August? And what was the climate, the temperature at the Trade Ministers? And Jürgen had also a question.